just going to tell them that. What's all that sound? Oh, hang on. You got to mute that. Okay. Hey, everybody. We're not quite ready to start. We're going to give this about another minute just to allow the Facebook Live to catch up, because that takes a couple minutes. So bear with us for 1 minute here while we do that. And we'll start in about a minute. How's your morning been?
So far, so good.
Good.
A little rain in LA today.
Yeah, for those who think, you know, LA, sunshine all the time, it's rainy and gray. And
yeah, and tons of traffic for this early in the morning to get here.
Yeah. All right, it is 9 o'clock, and we are going to start. So welcome, everybody. We're a fairly small group today. We had a very large group on Thursday, but here we are on Thursday morning. We wanted to do this again for people who weren't able to attend on Thursday. This is our webinar on our new children's multi-cap, and we're just going to launch right into it. As we go along, if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat window. We try our best to catch up with that as we go along and answer your questions as we go. If it's something that we know we're going to be answering later, we'll let you know that as well. And then there will be time at the end for kind of a free-for-all Q&A where we're not trying to get through a presentation and answer questions at the same time. So here we go. So with our children's multi-cap, we are, as we like to say, not going to sugarcoat this for you. These are vitamins, not candy. That's one of the main distinctions between what we do and what every other children's vitamin company does. Now, at the end of this presentation, there is going to be a promo code that we will announce that up until the end of tomorrow, the end of Sunday, you'll be able to get 30% off your first order of the children's multi-cap. But you have to stick around to the end because we want to make sure that you get all this information.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, a lot of people, they'll start typing, hey, it's not working right now. What's the promo code? We give it right at the end.
Right at the end. Yeah, the promo code is live. You'll be able to use it as soon as you see it. It's already live on the site. And here we go. Let's keep going. On to the next slide. So, the first question people always ask is, why a children's vitamin? I mean, people sometimes ask, is just in general, why vitamins? But especially with children's vitamin, as parents, and I'm assuming most everybody in here at least is a parent, or you wouldn't necessarily be here. The most important thing to you is the health and well-being of your children. And while we would think that with all the technological advances we have, scientific advances, that our children would be healthier than we were when we were kids, or our parents were when they were kids. And actually the opposite is true. Our children's health is declining over previous generations. Just a few statistics. Childhood obesity, for example, has tripled since the 1970s. Currently, and we're talking about younger children here with this product, 13.9% of 2 to 5-year-olds and 18% of 6 to 11-year-olds are clinically obese. 1 in 12 children suffer from asthma. Ambulatory care visits, where you're taking your kid into the doctor or to the urgent care, emergency room. Those are all up 30%. They went up 30% from 1994 to 2004, and they're continuing to climb every year.
Andy, if I could jump in here just a little bit,
yeah.
Because I've talked to so many parents and have worked with so many parents and kids over the years. Parents today, with we call them helicopter parents and lawnmower parents, and people call them snowplow parents, where they just clear the way, and we all want the kids to be perfect. Yet the the 2 places we're not perfect, well, you could call it one, is the diet. People are giving their kids pancakes for breakfast or breakfast cereal. And if you ever look at a breakfast cereal and it says something like 8 essential vitamins, iron, and so on, I always laugh at that. It's like 8. Well, there are 13 essential vitamins, number one. And number two, if that product was so good to begin with, it wouldn't need vitamins at all. So there is a real need for people to take vitamins on a daily basis.
Yeah, I'm going to address that in a minute in terms of the adding the food, the vitamins to food.
Right.
Because I had a very interesting question come in after the last webinar. And it was actually in response to one of our emails about just that subject, and it's a great question actually. So just to to keep going, mental health is so people don't realize how connected that is to other parts of your health. If you're having digestive issues, that can seriously affect your mental health. It can cause depression. It can cause anxiety. It can even, if you're having, for children, if they're having repetitive digestive disorders, that can contribute to autism, which, by the way, is rising. 1 in 68 children today are suffering from some level of autism, somewhere on what they call the spectrum. That's a huge increase from just 25 years ago when that number was 1 in 150. Now, part of that increase is a change in the way that's reported, but there is evidence that it's also just an increase in the number of children who are on that spectrum. So, what are the causes of these increased health problems in children? There's a lot that contributes to it, but the two main buckets, I guess you'd say, that they fall into are toxicity and deficiency, and both are huge issues. On the toxicity side, what we're talking about is polluted air. The air that we breathe is getting worse. The water that we're drinking is getting worse, and our food is being degraded by the use of pesticides and herbicides, all of which have deleterious effects, how's that for a word, on our health.
I thought it was deleterious. And by the way, the other problem with the food we grow is, since we're getting all fancy with this no meat campaign, whenever you have less ruminants, you don't get the land to regenerate the way it did in the past. And when you keep growing crops over and over and over, take it from a kid who grew up on a farm, you deplete the crops, and
which gets to my next point.
The soil. You're right. Go on.
Yeah, that just gets to my next point on the deficiency, which is that our soil is depleted. It's depleted for a lot of reasons, but it's a lot of it is over farming. You overfarm soil, and it's going to start to lose the minerals that are in that soil that nourish the whatever you're growing and make it nutritious. The other parts of deficiency is that our kids are not getting out in the sun. They are sitting watching video games, they're studying, they're on the internet, they're doing anything but what we were all doing when we were kids, which is going outside and playing. And yes, I understand that there are dangers to too much sun pardon me, too much sun exposure, but there's also a real danger to not enough sun exposure.
And look, if given the choice, I would go for the danger of the sun exposure, because we make too much out of it. These companies have come in and said, hey, you need to slather up your kid with all this stuff before they go in the sun. And a lot of that is just unfounded. But that's a whole different topic.
That's a whole different topic. But our kids aren't getting enough sunlight. And sunlight is where we get our vitamin D. It's pretty much the only place we're getting vitamin D, except for those fortified foods, which we're going to talk about in a bit. And fussy eating. Anybody who's got kids knows that many of them, I was not one of them, fortunately.
Oh, you were perfect as a kid.
No, I was just a good eater.
No,
I was just
Andy's such a good eater.
No, I was just a pig. I would eat anything put in front of me.
Me too.
But kids are fussy eaters, so you try to get them to eat the right things, and it's not always easy.
Yeah.
So people ask all the time, but if I just really am careful about what I feed my kids, make sure that they're getting a really good, healthy, balanced diet with all the right proteins and fats and all the fresh vegetables and a little bit of fruit, getting them all organic and fresh and wholesome and cooking it all. That's all great. And certainly, we encourage all of that. But there are still a couple problems with that.
And by the way, when we say a little bit of fruit, as you guys know, I always call fruit nature's candy. Stick to the good low glycemic stuff like berries and cherries. the occasional apple will not kill anyone, but just don't go crazy with, any kind of tropical fruit or what have you.
Yeah, stay away from all those papayas and mangoes and all that yummy stuff. But the other problem is it's very hard to control the amount of junk food that our kids eat. Once they're out of the house and running to school and everywhere else, they're going to be presented with all the stuff on this picture, minus the one thing on here that's decent is the bacon that you see. But pretty much everything on here, other than that, is
what's that? Raisins I'm looking at in the
you're looking at raisins, you're looking at jelly beans, pancakes, French fries. I don't even know what this is supposed to be. Some sort of cake, bread, and pretzels, and more jelly beans, and what looks like probably Coke in that glass.
Yeah, it's just what we're serving kids today is horrible. And look, if you think those raisins are any better than those jelly beans, think again, because raisins are just nature's sugar turds. Mark wants to say, yeah, they only give kids 15 minutes to eat in school. I think that's an abomination.
That is an abomination.
Kids need more time to eat and digest. The fact that they've cut recess out is another problem. I had Dr. John Rady on my Friday show a couple of years ago, and he says, these kids need to run around. Our brains grow whenever they're playing and moving and exercising.
Yeah. Certainly when I was a kid, we had like a half hour or 20 minutes something recess in the morning. Then we had a full hour for lunch so you could eat and then play on the, Anyway.
And we're not dumb, not like they say.
In spite of what they say. But look, the problem with eating all this junk food is not just that they're not nourishing your kid, which they aren't, but they actually can cause harm. They can contribute to a variety of diseases, including diabetes. That's why you see such a rise in childhood type 2 diabetes, and can contribute to cancer. We all know that sugar feeds cancer. So let's continue. But okay, so assume that your kids aren't eating any junk food. They're eating all the right foods. You're making sure that they're getting their liver and their Brussels sprouts and their spinach and whole fat yogurt, all the good things. How much they would actually need to eat of all of those things, given what is the vitamin content of those foods and what the FDA is saying children should have or need to have to support their growing bodies. We're going to show you kind of how much of those foods they would have to eat, starting with thiamine. Thiamine is vitamin B1. It's essential for your child's nervous system, for their heart, their muscles. And failing to get enough thiamine is shown that it can hamper a child's ability to learn. And we see, more and more learning disabilities with kids. And one of the contributing factors is poor nutrition to that. But one of the best sources of thiamine, it's great in all of the cruciferous vegetables, but it's particularly good in Brussels sprouts. Now, if you can get your kid to eat Brussels sprouts, I love them, but not every kid is going to love that. The amount of Brussels sprouts they would need to eat to get the amount of thiamine that the FDA says they need on a daily basis is 6 cups.
That's a lot of gas right there.
Yeah, I can't eat 6. I love Brussels sprouts. I can't eat 6 cups.
On a bet, I couldn't eat 6. Well, no, you could, but you would be sick.
I'd be so sick. And I love Brussels sprouts, and they're great for you, but I could not eat 6 cups.
Right.
Going on to other things, vitamin B6, which is key to brain development, which is certainly very important in children when we're trying to get their brains to grow. And it's responsible for over 100 enzymatic reactions. They need to eat 10 cups of spinach. Folate, which is crucial for children for producing DNA and for cells to divide, which is how we grow, is when our cells divide. They would need to eat a half a pound of beef liver. And by the way, let me just say one more thing about folate, because it's really important for people to understand. Most folate in real food is coming in the form of folic acid, and it's if anybody has what's called the MTHFR gene mutation, which is very common, more common than people would think. Your body is unable to do what the body is supposed to do, which is convert that folic acid into the folate, which actually nourishes you. If you don't have that gene mutation, that happens fine from your food. If you do have that mutation, you need to be taking folate in the form of the methylated folate, not the folic acid that is in most vitamins, most vitamin, supplement formulas.
And the point I was going to make is, we mentioned the 6 cups of Brussels sprouts, the 5 cups of spinach, and a half pound of beef liver. That would be every day before you ate anything else. You would have to eat these things just to get that amount.
Yeah. And calcium, which is crucial for growing bones, you need to eat 7 cups of yogurt. I love yogurt. I love a good full fat, like a Greek yogurt. I can't eat 7 cups. So this is the problem. So how do you handle that? Obviously, that's the business we're in and why we're doing this, vitamin supplements. But there are a lot of children's formulas on the market. And as you can see, there's Centrum and there's Smarty Pants and there's Yummy Bears and all this stuff. And the #1 selling children's vitamin in the world, remarkably, is Flintstones. For some reason, Pete, that really caught on. I guess, when that was first introduced, Flintstones was still big on television. And it's shocking the amount of different formulas that they have, including, if you look over there on the right, Flintstones gummies for toddlers. So the problem with all of these, not just the Flintstones, but all of them, is what else is in all of those formulas, and it's sugar. And not a little bit of sugar, a lot of sugar. If your child were to take Flintstones gummies over the course of a year, and they would be, in 1 year, just from their vitamins, getting 4 cups of sugar, which is a tremendous amount of sugar just from something that's supposed to be healthy.
And, even more insidious than that, you were showing those, I think, yummies, was it Flintstones Yummy or whatever, and you're teaching it was made for toddlers, and it was a gummy bear. You're teaching a toddler that a sugary treat that the kid won't realize is healthy at the toddler age, when you should be teaching the kid other things. The kid is learning sweet is healthy. Not the best message.
No, not a good message at all. But the thing is, it's not just the sugar that's in those vitamins. Here's a partial list of, just taking one example, Flintstones Complete, not to pick on Flintstones, but why not? In addition to the sugar, we've got dextrose monohydrate, which is sugar. We've got maltodextrin, which is sugar. We've got sorbitol, which is a toxic artificial sweetener. We've got sucralose.
It's basically sugar alcohol is sorbitol.
Yeah, that's what that is. Sucralose is Splenda.
Yeah.
Microcrystalline cellulose. And I want to say something about that, because this is one of the most insidious ingredients that you find in not just supplements, but in all kinds of products. And it's a really terrible product. Microcrystalline cellulose is essentially highly refined wood pulp, but that isn't really what makes it so terrible. What makes it terrible is how finely they refine it. They process that into such small particles, which is why they're called microcrystalline. They're actually called a micro nanoparticle, which means it is so small, those particles, that they are able to travel in and out of your cell walls. So these little tiny particles, these micro nanoparticles, go in and out of your cell walls. Some of them get stuck inside and never leave, ever. So you have your cells throughout your body are being invaded by these little particles that stay there, and they cause permanent inflammation. It's a really insidious ingredient. The minute you see microcrystalline cellulose, you'll see other forms of cellulose, not to worry about those necessarily, but when you see microcrystalline cellulose, stay away. On top of that, you've got natural and artificial flavoring, pre-gelatinized starch, magnesium stearate, which suppresses your immune system, soy lecithin, and all these food colorings, blue #2, red #40, yellow #6, and silicon dioxide, which is a fancy name for sand, and is put in just to fill it up because the actual ingredients didn't fill up the tablet. So here at Pure Vitamin Club, we just say yabba dabba don't, which is just our little joke on the Flintstones. So no to Flintstones, no to sugar, and no to garbage like FD&C Red #40, which, by the way, can contribute to mental disorders in children, including increasing ADHD. So that's why we created Pure Vitamin Club's Children's Multicap. And like the rest of our products, and this is our mandate and one that we stick to religiously, our products have no fillers, no flow agents, no magnesium stearate, no titanium dioxide, another really insidious ingredient, which if you've followed us at all, you know we've talked about a lot. No silica or silicon dioxide, no sugar, artificial flavors, colors, soy, dairy, wheat, or gluten. And here's the thing, and we said this at the beginning, these are not chewables. They're not gummies. They're not jelly beans. They're not a fruit chew. We're not going to sugarcoat this for you. These are vitamins, not candy. They're in a capsule. It's a clean vegetable-based capsule, and nothing else is in there. Somebody, doesn't say who said that. It just says in a few seconds. Our pediatrician encouraged Flintstones up into my daughter. Yeah, well, it's remarkable that doctors are recommending this stuff.
Crystal Braid because it's the same icon.
Yeah, I think it probably is crystal, but it's saying in a few seconds, which is weird.
A pediatrician encourages Flintstones?
Encourages Flintstones, yeah. So here's a question, and I'm going to try to see if you can see this, but people ask, will my child be able to swallow a capsule? Well, we certainly thought of that, and we've worked very hard on that. And this is a little graph showing, and it's obviously not to scale, but it shows you the relative sizes. If you see where it says daily multicap and the little arrow down, that's the size double zero capsule, which is what our multicap and our magnesium and our ultrasalt.
Everything we make in a capsule is in the double O.
Is in the double O. Our children's multicap is in a 1. And I'm going to hold up. I've got one of each here. See if you can see this.
Hold them really close. No, right there, Andy.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now keep them still.
Yeah. If you can see,
you
there's the, in my one hand, my left hand is the regular daily multicap. And in my right hand is the children's multicap. It is really much smaller.
And here's the thing. In case you're wondering, we tried these out. Someone said the screen is black. It shouldn't be.
It's not black on ours.
Yeah, we can see it.
Give it a second sometimes, or refresh.
It. Yeah, refresh your thing. Here's the thing.
Sometimes it takes a second to catch up.
We tried these out on actual kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually had one kid where the parents said, no, you don't understand, little Johnny, not his real name, cannot swallow any pill, blah, blah, blah. We have to. And we said, let's just give it a shot. And not only was the kid able to swallow it, 4-year-old?
I think he was 4. Yeah.
Not only was he able to swallow it, he didn't feel it go down.
Yeah.
Which tells you a lot about it.
Yeah. We had very similar situation with the kid that we used. I don't know if anybody has seen, we did a fun little video, 4-minute video when we first created this. And we have a kid in there that is actually the son of a friend of mine. And I asked him because he's such a cute kid, I said, would you mind if we used Mason for our video? And he said, yeah, I'm glad to. I'm not sure he's going to be able to swallow the capsule because he's 6. And no problem. Yeah, it was easy.
There was no practice. We just did it right on camera.
Yeah, and he just said, yeah, that's easy.
That's easy.
So what is actually in the children's multicap? Because we talk a lot about what's not in it, but what's in it is certainly very important, more important than anything. First of all, there are 13 essential vitamins. What that means is there are more vitamins and you've never even heard of them because nobody bothers to put them in anything because they're not the essentials, but there are 13 essential vitamins. And of course, all of these are in there in the best forms possible, because every vitamin and every mineral that's in a supplement, they come in different forms depending on what molecules they're bound to. So it's very important what forms they come in. So we put all 13 of the essential vitamins in the forms that we know are best. In addition to that, there are 12 key minerals, all selected specifically for the needs of children. If anybody's familiar with our regular daily multicap, there are only 11 key minerals in that, and I'll get to why there's an additional one in this one. But I want to show you the full list of our ingredients. This is taken right from the bottle. Well, this is actually taken from the art that was used to make the bottle.
But yeah, we basically put this on the bottle, and then we took it from our bottle.
Yeah, well, we took it from the art that
it wasn't like the bottle had it.
No,
we had to create it.
All right, now we're just doing shtick. So just to go through, and I'm not going to go through this in great detail. If anybody has any questions, we'll make sure that you know how to reach us. We're happy to answer any specific questions. But you'll see here on the left column, you'll see the serving sizes and the amounts per serving for children under 4, which is 1 capsule a day, and on the right for children 4 and over, which is 2 capsules a day. And we've been very careful about making sure that we're giving your kids not the maximum amount, but the optimum amount of each of these ingredients. And you'll notice, and this is true not just of ours, but of any good vitamin formula, you'll notice that the percentage of daily value, which is what the FDA recommends that we need every day, varies from, in the case of potassium, very little of the percentage of what you need, to, in the case of vitamin B12, way more than the minimum amount or the required amount. And there's a reason for all of that. Some things that we really benefit from more, and there's no risk of toxicity. And some things there is a risk of toxicity if we overdo, and we get more from our food, like the potassium. We get a lot from our food, and you can very easily overdo it with potassium. So we keep that kind of low. A lot of vitamin formulas, particularly for kids, don't even put any potassium in. We do, because we think it's important to put a little in there. But these are the max, the optimal amounts. The one ingredient that's in here that's not in our regular daily multi-cap is the last one listed, the boron. Boron is crucial for the development of healthy teeth. So when you're talking about younger children who are still going through losing their baby teeth and growing their full ones, their permanent teeth, boron is very, very essential.
Mark Milgrove has a question. At what age do you switch from the children's to the normal multi-cap? It's a very interesting thing, because you can switch at what, 10 or 11?
You can switch as young as 8, really.
Yeah, but a question we had the other day on the webinar was, the parent said, well, wait a minute, once I switch, my kid won't have the boron anymore, and I'd like to keep, which means it's perfectly fine to keep your kid until they get off of all the milk teeth and get all the final.
There's we officially say from that this is for kids up to 8, but the truth of the matter is, and the reason we say that is because you really don't want to be giving the adult formula to kids under 8. But there's this formula is perfectly acceptable for kids up to 11, 12.
And by the way, and we don't recommend it, but we've had parents from day one of the multi-cap saying, "Hey, I've been giving this to my 6-year-old, just mixing it in their yogurt and the whole thing." So
yeah, it's just a little bit too much for.
Yeah, it's more than they need. That's why we
and yes, Crystal, this is completely appropriate for 2- and 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
So how do you, you know what, before I go here, I want to go back a little bit, because I want to address a couple other things. Magnesium. And there isn't a whole lot of magnesium in here, but there is some, and you'll see it especially that there is a higher percentage of the daily value for the younger children than for children 4 and over. And there's a reason for that. Magnesium deficiency has been shown to be a significant factor in development of autism. And, that's why the under 4s, you really want to make sure that they're getting enough magnesium. That's why we have a higher percentage.
I thought a playmate taught us that the reason everyone had autism was because they were vaccinated. That's off the table. Okay, we're not going to talk about her, because that's crazy. Yeah.
So how do you get it? Well, very easy. They are up now on our website, purevitaminclub.com. If you go there, there is a button right on the homepage at the top that we made it really clear, available now, our children's multi-cap, and then also on the drop-down menu from our products along the menu at the top. We make it available either on the 90-day plan, where you'll get it automatically every 90 days, and or you can just have it as a one-time purchase. Now, the 90-day plan, anybody who has subscribed with us to anything else knows that our subscriptions have no obligations, no long-term commitments. You're not, committing to doing it 6 deliveries. You could literally order it one day, get it delivered, and pause or cancel your subscription the next week and then start it up again in 6 months. The reason we do subscriptions is not to rope people in, it's for convenience. And what is the correct dose? I mentioned this already. For children under 4, it's 1 a day. For children over 4, it's 2 a day. And when you're doing 2, we recommend 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening.
Yeah, it's better to split them up.
Yeah. In terms of the pricing, 1 bottle is 180 capsules. So if your children are over 4 and they're taking 2, that's a 90-day supply. If you have a 2 or 3-year-old, you're only taking 1 a day, then that 180 is a 6-month supply, unless you have 2 children, in which case that are that age, and then 180 will last you 90 days for your 2 kids. The prices, we make it a little bit advantageous to go on the plan, so it's $29.95, and if you're doing the single purchase, it's $32.95. They're also available on Amazon. And the prices, people ask us all the time, why are the prices higher on Amazon? And it's because, just being really frankly, we sell these at a fairly tight margin. Obviously, we want to make a profit, but we sell it at a pretty tight margin. And Amazon, anybody who has ever sold on Amazon knows that they take a hefty portions. So we have to increase the price a little bit.
Yeah, just
Amazon.
We would at the margins we sell it for on the website. If you went to Amazon and we sold them for the same price, we would lose money.
Yeah. So here's the offer, and this is good till the end of tomorrow. If you use this coupon code CMWeb, and it's not case sensitive, so it doesn't matter whether it's upper or lowercase, you will get 30% off on just the children's multi-cap. That applies to the subscription version or the single purchase version. And we'll make sure that we show this again before we end. So our questions. Mike, and these are questions that we took from people who registered for the first webinar and people who sent us questions via email and all of that. Is this product safe for a 7-year-old with severe food allergies to dairy and egg? And the answer is yes. These are dairy-free, they're egg-free, they're gluten-free, soy-free, sugar-free.
They're free.
Well, they're not free. Sue asked, is this product vegan? And that's an interesting question, because the answer is technically no. They're almost vegan.
No, but technically.
And the way they're not vegan, the gelatin capsule is vegan because that's made from cellulose. It's a vegetable product. But the vitamin D comes in 2 forms. You can get vitamin D2, which is vegetable-based, or vitamin D3, which is not vegetable-based. It's called cholecalciferol. And we always use vitamin D3 because vitamin D2 is virtually useless. It's just not very effective. D3 is derived from lanolin, which is the oil in sheep's wool. That's why you find it in a lot of like moisturizing creams. So no animals are being killed for that, and they're just being shorn. Some vegans, what we like to call ethical vegans, where they don't mind some animal products if the animals aren't being harmed, will make an exception for vitamin D3 for lanolin. Usually, but it's not technically vegan.
Let me give you a different way to look at it. The same vegan who thinks that honey is not vegan because the bees had to be enslaved are the same ones that wouldn't use this because the sheep had to be enslaved while they.
Yeah, well, it's all a very personal choice.
Right, and we're not making a judgment here. We're just saying it's really vegan unless you're that vegan.
Yeah. Other than the D3, so we don't make any bones about that. Marisol had asked us if the product came in a chewable version. We really pretty much addressed that. That if it's literally not possible to make a chewable that doesn't use sugar or artificial sweeteners.
It's possible, but it would just be hooked to a calcium or something.
Then it would just not be a chewable.
Kids wouldn't take it.
No, it's not possible. There's one more question here, and then the last question, which I'll address. Steve asks, can I open the capsules and dissolve them in liquid? Because some people are still going to say, my child, you don't know my child, he's not or she's not going to be able to swallow. And the answer is yes, you can open these capsules and sprinkle the product either in liquid or in a soft food like yogurt or cottage cheese. There's almost no taste to it at all. If you mix that in yogurt, with that naturally tart taste, they'll never notice the difference. No, it's there at all. It's very easy to do. The last question I want to address, which was the one that came in via email, and I wish I could remember the gentleman's name, and I don't. He asked, he said, I'm confused because, and he watched this, he said, you're saying that you can open the capsules and sprinkle them on food, but I've heard Vinny say that it's terrible, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, it's terrible that there are these processed foods that have, that are so-called fortified, which is essentially them sprinkling the vitamins on the food before it's delivered to you. And I want to explain the difference and why it's not the same thing. When you're talking about fortified foods, and that's usually like breakfast cereals or packaged breads or pasta or all these different things
milk
that are
vitamin D added.
sort of fortified. They're number one, the actual vitamins are mostly being burned away in the process. So if you're making a cracker or a bread, like Wonder Bread, they used to, with I forget how many vitamins and things that they said.
Usually 7 or 8 vitamins.
They said were added to Wonder Bread to grow healthy bodies. They're putting in that in the stuff before they bake it, and then all the vitamins are being burned up, basically. That's number one. Number two, they're processing it 8 different ways with preservatives and all that. Number three, they're not using the best forms of all the different vitamins. They're using the cheapest versions of the vitamins that they can possibly get.
And they're usually spraying it on, so they have to hook it to another compound just to spray it.
Right.
It's not vitamins at all. It's technically vitamins were sprayed into the product.
But it's essentially
it's void of nutrition.
Yeah, it's void of nutrition. So they can technically say, just like they can technically say, and I've seen this over and over again, you'll see an ingredients list on a product, and we found this over and over again when we were doing our research, and we looked at every children's vitamin on the market because we want to see what they were doing, and on their labels you would see big as letters, sugar-free, sugar-free, sugar-free. And then you'd look at the ingredients and it would be sugar and maltodextrin, have all these ingredients, and they're still calling it sugar-free. And the way they're able to get away with that is if the percentage of sugar in the ingredient is below a certain amount, you're technically allowed to call.
It's 0.49 of a gram. So it's got to be less than half a gram.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, that's why you'll go, well, why did they put 3 different forms of sugar? Well, if you put dextrose at 0.49 and cane sugar at 0.49 and sucralose at 0.49, now you have 3 sugars that you could call 0.
Right. So it's really a scam, and it's the same with these fortified vitamins. They'll say, yes, it's got vitamin D, but they've used D2, which is the cheaper one. They've used that they've sprayed it on, and it's all the value has been baked out of it. So that's the answer to that question. That's the end of the formal presentation. I'm going to scroll back up so you can see the discount code again, and we'll answer any of your questions.
I think most of the questions were basically answered. It's such a small group they were asking along the way. We answered pretty much everything people might want to know.
Yeah. But look, we appreciate everybody that showed up today, and you know that you can also write us at support@Pure Vitamin Club, and we will answer your emails the same day. And you can call us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time at 866-PURE-321. And we always answer that phone between 9 and 5. And if we don't, if we're both or all 3 of us who are usually in the office, if none of us are able to answer it, we get back to you as soon as we can. And want to thank everybody for coming.
Oh, by the way, if anyone is in the Flagstaff area, I'm leaving in a few minutes to go to Flagstaff, both Serena and me. and we will be there tomorrow at the Orpheum Flagstaff. You can still get tickets, orpheumflagstaff.com. We're showing Fat, a documentary, and then we're having a little meet and greet before, drink served, what have you, and then afterwards, I will go up and answer any questions about the movie. The movie's been a tremendous hit, and we are doing it kind of for the fans who want to see it on the big screen. So see you there.
All right. Once again, thanks everybody. Thank you, Mark.
Oh,
Awesome
thanks,
job
Mark.
on the movie.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody.